Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the final fallout bar of the PDC World Darts Championship for this year's event. Big good evening from myself, Jack Garwood, and Mr. Cam McFarlane. Cam, how we doing, buddy?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. We're here. We've made it. We got to the last one. We can finally go to bed at a reasonable time tomorrow.
I mean, there's still me and you to chat for a fair amount of time. And yeah, there is no show tomorrow, but we'll be back on Wednesday for the live lounge so we can keep people up between 8 and 10 as we usually do. Myself, Mr. Bars and Lee Boyce returning to the fold as well. So plenty to look forward to. Plenty of darts tomorrow if you fancy the Motor Super Series in the day. But the very, very big one is the final of the PDC World Darts Championship. Daniel, I will ban you from the chat, and this is a dart show. We don't need to talk about that here, I'm afraid, buddy.
I've not got the chat open. What's he saying?
He's just put bees. None of that. We don't need that here.
Oh, we do. Yeah, absolutely we do. Right, we always ease our way in with a little bit of chat about sports. We talked about NFL last night when you wanted to make it clear that my team hadn't done very well again. So we're mentioning the fact that even with about 87 disallowed goals that went in your favour, you still got beat off Brentford tonight.
No, we're not. This is like
I've
our
done it now.
discussion.
That's all they needed. That's all it needed.
You're in Div 2. Your opinion doesn't count here.
What you want again?
Div 2.
We still don't drop.
Good evening to everybody in the chat room. Lovely to have you back for our final show of the tournament. G's in, Bob's in as well. Jack Nolte's in. Elka is in. Daniel's in. Matthew Macy's in. Good to have you, buddy. Mariana's in. Peter Pan's in. Daniel Syson's in as well. Finney's in. Steve Guppy, Craig Gordon. Good to have all of you guys here back once again with us. I don't really know how tonight's show... Well, I do know how tonight's show is going to work. We're going to review both semi-finals. We're going to look ahead to tomorrow's final. I guess the issue is, depending on how long Michael Van Gerwen talks for, is how soon we get a clip of Michael Van Gerwen from his post-match press conference. So we've definitely got Michael Smith ready for you guys. A reminder, if we don't get that at any point in tonight's show, interviews from every single player that has won a game at this year's World Championship so far are available in full on this YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you drop this video a like whilst you're here, and then head over there and you can catch up with any post-match interview that you guys fancy from any of the tournament. I want to start before we do go back and look at each game specifically with something me and you literally just spoke about off air very, very briefly. It was a tweet from our good friend Chris Murphy, who said, in quotation marks, the most open World Darts Championship in memory ends with the final that pretty much everybody predicted. Michaels will do battle tomorrow for the World Darts Championship. And honestly, if I look back at this tournament, I look back at the performances, I look back at how they've played all year, I think they deserve that shootout. Yeah,
I think, well, it's not just that. I mean, yes, okay, so it's possibly a little bit predictable, but it's the final we all want to see, isn't it? The best two on the tour this year going head-to-head. It's absolutely what we want. But yeah, did you pick this as a final as well?
Yeah.
So you
I got the other two semi-finalists wrong, but I got these two right. So once they got there, I was like, "Go on, the boys!"
Yeah.
I think
so
half
you
the
picked
team
this.
I think half the pundits in the world picked it. I just
you picked
didn't
it.
see any other outcome. Once Michael
Liam
Smith had gone to keep at the Grand Slam, you still felt he was in reasonable form despite the players, etc. Van Gerwen has just been untouchable on TV. And look, despite how good these two have been all year, the fact Smith's been in 4 finals, this will be his 5th since the last World Championship final. Van Gerwen's already won 3 TV events this year. There's still quite a big favourite in this one heading into tomorrow night's final, despite how far ahead these two have been of literally everybody else in the field since day one.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? I mean, it's like I don't think possibly tonight we've seen Van Gerwen pretty not far from his best, but I still don't think. And Smith was very, very good as well, but I still think it could go even better tomorrow. We could see just
you trying to talk yourself into Smith winning it.
I still think he wins it. I still think he wins it. I stand by my prediction that from the start of the tournament that I think he wins it, because let's be real, nobody served it up to Michael Van Gerwen properly. Mensah did, but Smith can serve it up to him more, and Smith has got that firepower that Mensah doesn't have, where he can rattle off a set in 35 just like Michael can.
Fair enough. Right, let's actually look back at tonight's action rather than looking ahead at tomorrow night's final, because we're going to do that afterwards anyway. So we'll save some of that for the post-match discussion. We do start with the Michael Smith versus Gabriel Clemens semi-final. And I'll be honest, I had to do a double take when I posted this result on social media earlier at it being 6-2, because it just felt like Clemens gave Smith absolutely no breathing room at all tonight. It felt like he was under pressure constantly. And despite the fact he's rolled off 4 sets on the spin at the end, even then, I had to double take that was actually the scoreline, because it didn't feel like he'd rolled off 4 straight. It felt like Clemens was there every single step of the way.
Because he was. I mean, that's probably the simplest way of putting it. I mean, Michael Smith has literally played pretty much as well as anyone this entire tournament in this game. And Gabe was just there firing back at him every time. I mean, 6 of the 8 sets went all 5 legs and could easily have all gone the other way. It wasn't like, until the end, maybe, he never really blew him away in a leg either. Like, there's the 2 legs at the start of set 2 where he reeled off 2 11s in a row. But other than that, Gabe was in every single leg, and he had chances in every leg. Even those ones that he's won last in the deciding one, he could easily have lost this game, Michael Smith, which sounds ridiculous because he won it 6-2. But he could have done, and Clemens was that good. And just so consistent again. The scoring and the timing of his scoring as well. It was always, when he was towards the business end of the leg, he was firing in a 180 or 177, or just setting it up, and it was impressive. But that shows you how good Michael Smith was to win this as comfortably as he did. I
guess there's that double take there, is that the timing on Gabriel Clemens to pressure the Smith shot, it felt like the break was never, ever going to come. There was a moment where Michael Smith did break Gabriel Clemens' throw. I think it was in the 3rd set, or was it the 5th set? It was the 5th set when he went 3-0 up. When he won that set. And my friends are like, oh, there's the break. And I was like, that break means nothing, because it was a set where Smith had the darts. You needed to do it in a Clemens set, and it didn't feel like that was coming. But as you said, so many of these sets did go the distance, and you said it could have gone either way. And Michael Smith of yesteryear loses that match.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He misses.
Doesn't matter, it's Gabriel Clemens. And Michael Smith yesteryear loses to that performance under that much pressure constantly, doesn't he?
Yeah. If he's constantly under that pressure at the business end of sets and legs, he doesn't take out those shots. But now he does, because he is that player now. And he is that good now. Yeah, the 3-0 set, actually, I thought could have been a big turning point, and he went 3-2 up. However, we had the ridiculous break after 4 sets and 5 sets, which it's just unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. I know they've got to get it in there in case it goes 6-0, because they have to get the breaks in, which I still don't agree with. But to have a break after 1, 2, 4, and then 5 is just unnecessary. And at that point, Smith probably reels off that next set pretty quickly, the way he just played that set, and it might have been a little bit more comfortable, because it might have demoralised Gabe a bit. But Gabe came out and gave it him all in that set, where Smith started a little bit slowly in it, but I suppose it made no difference in the end, because Smith got over the line in that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, we can draw many comparisons on the PDC and BDO, and they're very unfortunate. But actually, in terms of a World Championship final, them only getting 1 or 2 breaks in that BDO World Final, and just that was for the players to have 10 to 15 minutes just to themselves, not even for commercial benefit.
Yeah.
I do miss that element of it. The domination of commercial viability in sport does upset me. Like, we sit and watch the American sports often enough, but there's so many ad breaks at every single opportunity, and everything is a sponsored read as well. Whereas I just miss the purity of sport sometimes. And like I said, the number of breaks we saw in this semi-final, and we'll see again tomorrow, do take away from that a bit.
It's the same advert as well, though, that we've just seen. I mean, bear in mind how quick that set was between set 4 and set 5. It was probably 4 minutes start to finish that set. And then we're watching the same adverts again that we've just seen, that everyone's seen. And let's be real, I mean, none of us are buying a brand new Audi concept car that you can't even buy Like, it's just utterly a waste of everyone's time. I mean, they surely have won with no ad breaks. Why do we have to have it every 3 legs in a darts match?
Because they can, and because they will. Anyway, back to the actual action. I mean, look, finishing unbelievable. Gabriel Clemens not producing a ton plus. Five ton plus from Michael Smith, including a 1-6-1.
He missed a few as well.
Delightful. And he had a second attempt at it as well. Was gutted. I think the more, not depressing, I just think this game threatened a 9-darter a number of times. It was 30 maximums between these two, and a couple of.
A lot of them were first and second visits as well.
Yeah, and we're still waiting on that one in the tour. We could discuss big finishes in the next game, but the lack of a 9-darter, it felt like this was a very, very good chance for it.
Yeah, I thought after the first time he hit 6 perfect and he went low on it, I just fancied it the second time when he did it again. But he obviously, I think he fancied it as well and just slightly overpitched it the second time, went high on it that time. But yeah, I did fancy Smith, especially because he had taken out 5 ton pluses already at that point. I just thought, I just fancied this goes, but plenty of time yet. Loads of time.
Plenty of time, yeah.
I mean, I predicted last night that both of them will hit one before the end of the tournament. Neither of them managed it tonight, so we're going to have a good night tomorrow.
So we're going to get 2 tomorrow. Is that it? Is that what you're going for? Big? Well,
I'll just keep believing it until it doesn't happen.
It's like being a Blackburn fan, isn't
it? No. We don't believe.
Oh no, we're not allowed to do that now.
No, we don't believe anything. We've given up on believing in things a long time ago. There's just if it happens, it's a lovely surprise. Well, I assume it will be. It's not happened yet.
Moving on, wrapped it up in pretty good fortune. Let's hear from Mark Smith, because I think he's going to say what I want to ask the next question about anyway. So this is Bully Boy in his post-match press conference.
It would be nice when my first world number 1. The start of 2023 is the world champion. If I did win it, I feel sorry for my liver. Especially, but no, it means everything for me. I want to win. I just want to do everything I can, and it could have been a different story if I didn't win the Grand Slam. I could have been saying I'd lost 9 majors, but now this is my 10th, so I'd never give up, and finally got the first. Hopefully I can get my first World Championship. If I don't, there's still, I'm 32, I've still got 18 more left. So I'll always keep fighting and keep competing, and if it does work out the way that I wanted to, like I just said, I feel sorry for some part of my body, but I just want to compete, and I want to hopefully play Michael. I want to get revenge from 2018.
18 more left, as if he's counting down to the days till he can become a World Seniors Darts Tour member. Reminder, they do head to the Circus Tavern in February, as well as Blackpool in March. If you fancy any tickets for that, head to worldseniors.com, and you can find all the links you need in there. Tommy also asked, when's the next live lounge, guys? That will be Wednesday. So the final is tomorrow. The day after, myself, Phil, and Lee will return with a complete review of the PDC World Darts Championship. And I think that puts us just 2 episodes away from our 100th show. Also a good chance to tell you about our Q School coverage. We are going to be live every single day across the team, bringing you all the action from both of the Q Schools here in the UK and in Germany. So plenty to look forward to. Cam, touching on the end of that interview, revenge for 2018. I think he means 2019. Without checking the dates 100%.
The finals always 2019, but obviously the majority of the tournament was always the year before. So we'll let him off for that.
To number it. 3rd world final in 5 years. World number 1 on the line, and he gets his wish of revenge. Is he brave? Basically, saying that if you get the option, and you have Michael van Gerwen in this form or Dimitri van den Berg in a final, do you really want Michael van Gerwen?
I think he probably does. I mean, we know Michael Smith and the way he likes to play. I think you prefer playing Michael, to be honest, than playing Dimmy at that pace. So I think maybe he does prefer Michael. Like I say, it's a great storyline, isn't it? Like I say, it's either repeat or revenge. World Championship and the world number 1 on the line as well. it's just the final that we all need.
We do indeed. Look, no spoiler alert. We're going to move on to the second semi-final, and dominant, ridiculous, sensational. You're going to run out of superlatives for this one. However, I think it managed to last longer than the first game, despite playing 2 sets less. Van Gerwen defeated Dimitri
And a lot less legs.
Vandenberg, dropping just 4 legs along the way. A sensational performance from Michael Van Gerwen, who averaged 108.28 whilst hitting 58% of his darts at a double. That's 11 straight sets, dropping something like 9 legs in the process. He is on another level again right now.
Yeah, he is. Like you say, yeah. I mean, when we'd had 22 legs in the other game, it was still 2-2. So that's why this one has gone by in a flash, but also not done because Dibby took 45 minutes to throw every 3 darts that he threw. I don't know how much water he had on his table, but he had a drink before every throw of 3 that he had in the entire game. So he just never got going. And the only time he ever looked like he might was when he just got up there and threw darts without faffing about. I mean, we know how good he is, but he was really poor again. Yes, there was the 170, which he thought might give him an opportunity. He took the lead, and then he's then not, at that point, got a dart at double in 15 after that on his own throw and lost that leg. Realistically, it should have been
the first set, wasn't it? You're firing a 170. You think you might have caught Van Gerwen a little bit cold there. You throwed him off with a pace. If you do take that first set as Dimitri Vandenberg, where you've clearly frustrated Van Gerwen a little bit already, you've got a chance of keeping that up and holding him at arm's length and getting him a little bit caught up in everything that's going on alongside playing the game of darts. However, to give up your throw so measly in the following leg,
he kicked
basically
off well,
handed the ascendancy to Van Gerwen, and once he got on a roll, it was ridiculous to try and stop.
Yeah, he kicked off well in that leg as well, though. He kicked off 1-3-1, followed by a ton, and then still didn't get a dart at double within 15. And you just can't do that against MVG. And you're not going to get that many opportunities. Realistically, this game should have been 2-2.
Yeah.
Not 4-0. But both times he had a chance on his throw to win a set, he absolutely shit the bed.
The last one is a decent at the time, but I'll let you off to that. Yeah, look, not ideal. Again, we're gonna struggle to talk an awful lot about this. Van Gerwen was just exceptional, despite only having the 1 ton plus checkout, but it seemed like he never needed it. 19 140s in this one, 9 180s, 21.
He didn't leave many ton plus opportunities because of the scoring, the same as yesterday as well. Like he's down below 100 every single time after 9 darts, so he's not gonna take out any ton pluses. He was, like I say, he was just really, really good. I mean, he had two sets of 35 darts, which is just ridiculous. Was it about 128 point something average over both of those 2 sets?
That in the Masters format, and that's best of 3. To do that in a best of 5 is just ridiculous.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Aside from the darts, there was a few antics up there. The one that got the biggest response actually wasn't the pace from Dimitri. It was Van Gerwen encroaching in the encroachment zone. Now, look, we've actually discussed this, I think, on the Fallout a number of times and on the Live Lounge a number of times as well. Whether you agree with it affecting Dimitri in that moment or not, the fact that that encroachment zone exists and Michael is stood in it means that something more needs to be done. Now, there should be a second official at the side of the stage. Obviously, the referee at this point didn't have eyes in the back of his head. It's incredibly difficult for them to monitor at that point. But once attention has been drawn to it as well, look, it doesn't make the biggest difference in the world. But once it's been noted and once it's clear that you are doing it, you should and need to obey that rule. And didn't happen straight away. The following visit, he still got feet over the edge of it. And look, I guess that's a habit thing as well, because it's happened for so long where that carpet is. It just gives you a base of where you are on that stage. He's got the front of his foot over the line. I'm not excusing it or anything, but where it hasn't been a factor for so long, and it probably won't be a factor for another 100 matches that Van Gogh plays until somebody else picks it up at that point, etc. But to draw attention to it in that moment and to still carry on doing it is a bit bad, really.
Yeah, and we know what he's doing. He's just trying to impose himself. And it is uncomfortable having someone close behind you when you're trying to throw. Just in general, if someone's close up behind you, makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Especially for you, if you had Clearmacher over the top of you,
exactly. That's the thing. But I mean, we know why Dimmy was getting upset about it at that point. He was getting beaten. If he was firing in 180s for fun, he probably wouldn't even have noticed. But when things aren't going your way, you do notice those things. I think Dimmy needed to be clearer and stronger at this point. I think he's got to turn around, literally, not just like look backwards and whisper at him. Turn around, make a clear point of it so that the ref, the crowd, everyone knows that he's telling him that you're stood in the zone while I'm doing this. And make a point of saying it to him in a way that's not little meek and whispering to him, and at least get back in his face a little bit and say, I'm not going to be intimidated by you. You're not standing in my area when I'm throwing. Otherwise, I'm not going to throw my darts.
Yeah. I think at that point, he's got absolutely nothing to lose in this final either. It came about in set 4 or set 5, I think it was.
Yeah. Set 4, I think.
3.
But the thing was,
one of the ones where it was 35 darts. It just absolutely rattled it off.
He just didn't do that, though. And, I mean, I'd be very surprised if the ref actually knew what this Stockton was talking about, because he didn't make it clear what it was. He just whispered, and until Sky sort of zoomed in on where his foot was, you didn't really know what it was that he was stopping or getting a little bit bothered about. And he's just got to be a bit stronger and a bit clearer if it is bothering him, or even if he wants to make a point of it and say, I'm not being intimidated by you. He's got to do more than that. Otherwise, get on with it and throw your darts.
A bit like the ear defenders last night, I think it was. If it bothers you that much and you want to make a point of it, do it. But make a big point of it at that point.
Yeah.
You're that far behind at that point. It's not going anywhere. If you keep doing the same thing, this game's only going in one direction. I think that more could have been made of it to even if it's annoying you for that genuine reason and that he's breaking the rules. If you make a big point of it at that point, there's also the chance it throws him off his game a little bit.
Yeah.
And look, whilst I'm not condoning dark arts or Peter Manley or Phil Barr's tactics or whatever you want to call it as well, at that point, he needed to do something to sway the game back in his favour. He was presented with an opportunity by Michael doing something against the rules, and in my opinion, didn't make enough of it.
Yeah, go and put your darts down on the table and say, until you stop doing that, I'm not throwing my darts. Get back, get out of the zone and do it. And to be fair, what Michael probably would have done would have been stand just as close but move his foot back 2 inches so it's just behind the line, because I'm not really sure he's one to sort of back down, but he would just made sure it wasn't inside that zone, but he still stood just as close and probably done that, which it might not have helped in any way for Dimmy, but at least if he'd made a point of it, then it's different, isn't it? With what he did, where he just stood there and whispered for a second and then stood there for a minute, which was no different to when he usually just composing himself anyway, and what he does quite a lot of the time. It just didn't even draw attention to it, and I just don't think it helped him at all.
No, I completely agree. As predicted, the Van Gogh clip is not yet ready for us. I think he's still in discussion with the media in the press conference. Obviously, very much in demand with all the TV channels that want a conversation with him. Lots of newspaper attention too. We tend to be one of the last in that queue to get that open press conference. So we don't have the Michael Van Gogh clip ready for you guys just yet, but that interview will be available in full on our YouTube channel. And if we do get it before the end of the show, I highly doubt it at the minute, though I can't see Phil working away on it at all or anything like that, then we will play it out for you guys. So all that's left for us to do at the minute is to look ahead to tomorrow night's final, Cam. The Battle of the Michaels.
Yeah. Like I say, it's the best game in darts right now. The two form players over first to 7 sets. It's just exactly. I just hope it lives up to what we think it's going to be. Obviously, we've seen it not do with a couple of the games recently that Michael's been involved in, but then also like Bully's game tonight was cracking and it was back and forth, and even that, if you saw a game like that and one of them wins it sort of 7-2, 7-3, it'll still have lived up to what we were kind of expecting.
If there's an impressive performance one way, if it's one-way traffic but there's an exceptional performance, it's a lot more watchable than a one-way performance with both players averaging mid-90s, for instance.
Yeah.
Like 108, 110 performance in a world final, you're reveling at the level of performance. You are a little bit fussed, but you're not too fussed that the other player hasn't turned up at that point.
Yeah.
I think is where we're going with that one. But
I think even if you get a performance like Gabe had tonight, where he's played really well, he's still lost by 4 sets, but he's played really well and it's been competitive, and you've had 5-leg sets all the way through it. Then you'd say, right, well, it's still been a good final. It's still an enjoyable watch because, like I said, I thought that first game was brilliant tonight, and it wasn't particularly close.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of people are mentioning it in the chat room right now. Does this tournament need a big world final to see it off? Because the early rounds felt a little bit slow and lackluster at times, I think. Some of the big players flattered to deceive a little bit. The performances weren't quite there that we expected from people like Gerwyn Price, despite the fact he found himself deeper in the tournament. Luke Humphries was ill. Joe Cullen pushed away a little bit, and a couple of other things. The players that we expected to perform here perhaps have let us down, apart from these two.
Possibly, yeah. And yeah, like you say, we've probably not seen some of the performances we've expected throughout the tournament. However, we have seen a lot of good games, I think. Maybe not the numbers, but some of the games have had the numbers as well. I mean, you look at Ross Smith against Dirk, but then there's also other games where there's also other games where the numbers haven't been great, but there's been drama right up until the end as well. And I think standard-wise, maybe not the best tournament, but in terms of actual entertainment, after, like you say, first week's always not the best because there's a lot of people in there that realistically.
Well, they're below tour standard, aren't they? Some of the international qualified, they aren't tour standard because of how open the tournament is. And
but I'd never want to take that away either. Obviously, like you say, it's those people. It's the highlight of the career making it, and I understand why they have it that way, and it grows the game and it gets people involved in different countries and different areas of the world. So I wouldn't take that away, but it does make for a bit of difficult viewing in the first week. However, I think after Christmas, I think it's actually been quite a good watch, this tournament, other than
yesterday.
Up until that point, I think it's been pretty good, but yesterday was pants, to be fair. And then
the last 16 I thought was really enjoyable. Once it was seed versus seed for the majority, I thought we had some big performances, but that was over in 2.5, 3 days, wasn't it? It just blows by.
Yeah.
Last day was a little bit underwhelming. I think there were moments tonight that could have been. Dimitri hasn't really laid a glove on Van Gerwen. I thought Clemens could have scoreline and taken it even more, taken it deeper and tenser, etc. But the rest of it, I think we are lacking that big final in this one. So, do we get it? What is your score prediction? How do you see it playing out? Chat room, your turn to get involved as well. Score predictions for Van Gerwen versus Michael Smith in the final.
I think we do get it, and I think it goes deep. And because I just, like I said before, I don't think we've not seen anyone play MVG that has the ability to rattle off a set as quick as he does. And I think we'll see that tomorrow, and I think we'll see it go back and forth. And I think we'll probably be 6 sets in without a set going against throw. And then from there, it becomes a shorter game. And I stand by what I said at the start. Michael Smith wins it. 7-5. He nicks the last leg of that leg, where it's looking like going to a final set, but he nicks the last leg and gets over the line 7-5. Because I think if it goes 7-6, he might not.
Interesting. I mean, the concern for me here, if you're in the Michael Smith camp, is we saw him play exceptionally well against Peter Wright. He did not play badly when he lost to Peter Wright a year ago. Peter Wright turned on the afterburners, won 10 of the next 11 legs, averaging somewhere near 115 at one point. The concern, if you are a Michael Smith fan, is that he suffers heartbreak in similar fashion because he's playing very, very well. The composure is there. The finishing is there. I don't think Smith will throw this final away. I just have concern and reservation, if you are supporting Smith, that Van Gerwen does to him what Peter Wright did to him last year, and there's absolutely nothing he can do about it.
Possibly. I could see it. But I just think, and I've stood by this, and this is why I've said a couple of times that I think potentially if you get it close with him early on, if you take early sets off him, that you can get at him, because he is still missing a lot of darts at double. He didn't tonight, but he was under zero pressure. But throughout the tournament, he has missed doubles, and we've seen it a few times from him. He's been sort of consistently between sort of 30 and 40%. So this is the only time he's gone out there and really put a performance in on the doubles. And if you're close in this game and you're giving it to him and you're putting him under pressure, which he's not really had to deal with other than a little bit from Mensah, but again, he was still always fairly comfortable in that game. I think there are vulnerabilities there still. And I think Smith might be slightly more clinical than him at the moment when it comes down to it.
I'm going the opposite way. I'm going to say Van Gerwen wins 7-4. I really like Michael Smith's game right now, and I can see these two battling it out in pretty much every final they fancy meeting in next year, depending on where they end up in the world rankings. If they're in the same half, it'd be semi-finals, etc. But if they're in opposite halves of the draw, I'm really struggling to see who stops these two if and when they get going next year. And I can see them battling it out for a while now. But in this one, given the form this year, given the title success, even the Grand Slam win that was solid for Michael Smith, the performances he's put in, I'm going to rule the UK Open out because that was the first time he went in as the massive favourite. But the finals against Peter Wright, the win in the Grand Slam, the final in the European Championship was just an exceptional performance from Ross Smith as well. I'm just concerned that it happens to him again this time. Would absolutely love to see Michael Smith become world champion, given all of the comments that he gets around bottling it and losing as many major finals as he does, etc. To turn that around in a year, given where he was after losing to Peter Wright in that last World Championship final, would just be exceptional in an era where Van Gerwen's returned to seemingly his best. He's had to contend with Peter Wright, Gerwin, Price. You've had Jeremy Clayton, Joe Cullen, and we're talking about the fact that the Premier League is way too small of a field to only have 8 players in this year because of how many quality players are there or thereabouts. Rob Cross, Dirk van Dijvenbode, Danny Noppert, Ross Smith, etc. These guys all have a lot of talent right now. But I just don't see past Van Gerwen right now. He just looks like Thanos, inevitable. He's just going to snap his fingers and it's going to happen for him. And he doesn't need a gauntlet full of stones. He just needs the darts that he's currently got in his hand because he looks so settled. He looks so calm. He's playing mind games left, right and centre. We're not going to get his clip tonight, but I guarantee that if somebody asks him about Michael Smith saying he wants revenge, he'll shut it down in the interview and start firing back. It's just what Van Gerwen does. And because of that, I'm going to say Van Gerwen wins this one 7-4 and gets back on track. I don't think he'll ever catch Phil Taylor in terms of world titles, but for a player of his calibre, for his ability and for the expectation levels around Van Gerwen, I think he's underachieved a little bit in World Championships, and this will get him back on track somewhat. We'll go through the chat room, see what you guys have predicted. So Matthew has got MVG 7-3. G's has got MVG 7-5. We've got 7-2 for HJV. Tommy has got MVG 7-4. Sean, Team MVG, has got MVG to win, unsurprisingly. That's like Phil Barnes backing him. James has got MVG 7-4 as well. Barry's got the same scoreline. Niall's in. Good evening, buddy. How are we doing? All the best at Q School in a couple of weeks' time. See, your practice is going very well, winning a couple of local comps in the last couple of weeks. So keep that up, mate. Jamie says MVG 7-1 was close to a 7-0. James has gone for a 7-3 win in MVG's favour. Steve's gone 7-3 MVG as well. Reese Taylor-Lock has got 7-4. Harry Barry's gone 7-6 Smith, the first person in the chat room to do so, swiftly followed by the second. Elka has got Smith 7-5. Jack has got 7-5 MVG, but Smith could win. Every time wanted to go against MVG, but just can't. I think a lot of people feel exactly the same way right now. Bob, MVG 7-3, but if he plays a complete A game, the score will be different. Do we have any more score predictions in the chat room? Preston's in. Good to see you, buddy.
There's a few people in there questioning whether I actually believe what I say. Yes, I do, and I'm standing by it. And as you know, I do collect receipts as well, so I will be coming back and shouting the people out that don't believe me.
I love it. I posted in the chat earlier going, who wants tonight's final fallout? We didn't have it on the road. We weren't that prepared, etc. And then everybody started lining up going, oh, can you play my prediction video? And I was like, we all said the same final. But to be fair, some of the boys have got this tournament absolutely spot on. I might even read some of them out in a second. Preston's got 7-5 MVG. Pete's got MVG 7-2 as well. G's has gone 7-5. Frank's got 7-5. Reese Lock 7-4. I think a few of you are repeating because I was a bit slow to read them out. Craig has got 7-5 Smith, he believes as well. Daniel Yenser has got Michael Smith 7-6. Sean's got 7-3 for the third time, mate. We get it. You're an MVG fan. 7-6 Smith.
Is Sean actually just Barzy?
Am I doubling up? I think that's about it. Any more going in there? We are guaranteed a new world number one, 100%. Whoever wins this will be the world champion. I've just seen Lee's prediction. I don't think we called your one out, so he's got 7-6. Van Gerwen and Hannah's got 7-2 MVG. I don't think we called Mike's either. Mike's got 7-3 MVG. Reese got 7-3 or 7-4 all day MVG. Let's do a couple of roundups. Niall's got 7-4 Smith as well, from one player to another. Lendl says my system also says 7-3 MVG. Where were we? There was a couple of questions. Q School. Let's look ahead a little bit. It's from the 9th to the 16th of January. We'll be covering that live every single day. There is a World Series during that as well, so we'll try and keep updates and do our usual report and etc. throughout the evening when that one takes place in Bahrain. We're not sending anybody to Bahrain, but we'll be sending Barzy to Copenhagen as well, which, by the way, apparently the lineup has been partially leaked tonight. We probably won't get any favours from this, but Danish TV have announced the players that will be playing in the Nordic Darts Masters the following week. Madas Rasma, Darius Labanauskas, Larson, Harrison, Nilsson, Cantele, Anderson, and Royce. Yes, I did just panic on all their guys' first names and have them written down. And the PDC players that will be travelling as well look to be Michael Smith, Dimitri Vandenberg, Michael Van Gerwen, Peter Wright, Gerwin Price, Luke Humphreys, Rob Cross, and one other to be confirmed. So that lineup looks like that is pretty much set in place. We are still waiting on a couple more places to be confirmed for Bahrain as well. Interesting to see if that will have any Premier League implications. I guess we can have a very, very quick chat around the Premier League. Cam, we've spoken quite a bit between us over the last couple of weeks as things unfold. Barring I think I was pretty set, and I think a couple are similar, but barring a Clemens, Bunting, or Dobie World Championship win, the Premier League 8 were pretty much set in place. No surprise from Clemens tonight. However, the viewing numbers in Germany are being thrown around a fair bit. There's also an article circling from Bild, I think it is, one of the German outlets, saying that he's in contention for a permanent pick, whatever that means, in the translation, because of the appeal of the German market right now. Do we see any changes to that 8? Do we see anything else come in? We believe the announcement might be delayed and not happen tomorrow anymore.
If it's not happening tomorrow, that makes me think there might be a change to it. Because if they're not going to change anything to it, then surely it's the perfect platform to announce it with everyone watching. But I don't think so for me. I don't, like I say, obviously huge numbers that he's doing in Germany. The 2.5 million or whatever it was yesterday, and I imagine more again today.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 7 players announced for that field as well. There seems to be quite a big double up in terms of players at both. Peter Wright, Gerwin Price, Michael Smith, Luke Humphries, Rob Cross, Dimitri van der Berg, Raymond van Barneveld, and 1 player to be confirmed. That's the same 7 that have been announced for the Nordic by the looks of things, apart from Van Gerwen and Van Barneveld being swapped over because Van Gerwen had already booked a holiday to the west, and Bahrain is to the east. So he's in Mauritius or somewhere, I believe, at the time. And it needs
just doesn't work.
So, yeah, he'd already booked flying left on the globe and needs to be in the right. So isn't changing that one. Still 1 player to be confirmed, though, in both of those. Could we see it split between 2 players in contention for Premier League picks? A Cullen in one, a Clayton in the other, maybe?
Possibly, because, I mean, they're not. It's not like they're particularly close to each other, or you're just nipping from one to the other. So there's no reason for them to go with the same player for both. But I mean,
well, the other option is wait to the Masters when all 24 players are involved, and we see if anybody sticks their hand up at that point. But then,
I just think
do they end up with a player that they don't want?
Yeah, is a World Series win enough to get you in the Premier League? It's not for me. Even if you're kind of on the edge of it, I still don't really think it's enough to be getting you in there. And the Masters is just too late. There's no way you can go into the Premier League not knowing the final player until 3 days before it. It doesn't work for the player either.
No. Although Joe Cullen found that out last time and was packing a bag pretty much the night he won the Masters.
Right.
Still,
but he knew before that there was a good chance.
We shall see how it plays out tomorrow evening. Remind us, everybody in the chat room, I think there was a couple more questions asked from earlier. The Live Lounge will be back on Wednesday this week, so just 2 more days, the date after the final. Myself, Lee and Phil will be doing a full World Championship review show. Then it'll be Q Score the week after that. Then we'll be back with show number 99, and then show number 100 will follow very, very shortly before the end of January. We're still in planning phase of that, hoping that we can all be in the same room now that, one of us has a driving license. Just a little, chuck that one in there.
You passed your test, mate, yeah.
Yeah, smashed it.
You should have mentioned it.
Not the card, just smashed the test part. Moving on, that's pretty much it, I think. A big thank you to everybody in the chat room right now that has joined us tonight and throughout the Fallout Bar for the entirety of the PDC World Darts Championship 2022-2023. A big thank you to Betfred, who has sponsored all of our coverage throughout. If you are having a flutter on the darts, then make sure you check them out, but please do so responsibly. A big thank you to everybody that follows us on social media already, and if you don't, then make sure you head over and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, which is absolutely popping off at the minute. So we're going to look and try and do some more short-based content on that heading into next year. Drop us a subscribe to the channel and hit that like button on this stream before you guys do go. A big thank you to everybody that got us over the 30,000 subscriber mark just before New Year as well. So the team are all very, very pleased and thankful for all of that. And a big thank you to Cam and the rest of the team that have joined me throughout this Fallout Bar campaign, to Charlie for jumping into the hot seat a couple of times, and to Jara as well. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Yeah, good luck. Enjoy the final tomorrow night, and we will speak to you on Wednesday on the Live Lounge.